Hi! RPGs are notorious for being difficult to get into, and if you're a beginner, you'll be staring down the barrel of so much dialogue, long run times, and every negative anime trope you can think of. But do not fear, for Peak is here. In just 1 or 2 games, we can turn the average Call of Duty and FIFA playing normie into an absolute Chad who politely takes his turn during fights and always chooses to romance the best girl of the roster. As for who this video is made for, well yes, this is friendly to beginners interested in the genre. This is also made for people who love the genre and want to indoctrinate others into our little informal cult of ours. And for people who clicked because this is the best RPG-based channel on the internet. So if you enjoy the video, drop a like and subscribe, as it only takes 1 second and you'll be put in the based in turn-based by doing so. Now let's get to recommending some absolute gems. I'll start with what to avoid so we can narrow down our options. Now, what are some things that scare people off about the genre? Well, from what I've heard in person and on the internet, it is these few things. Number 1, long playtimes. This genre is known for having the longest playtimes of any genre in gaming. Take Final Fantasy VII's 36, Pokemon Gen 7's 56, Dragon Quest VII's 78, or Persona 5 Royals' 101. This is the game genre she tells you not to worry about. Now I just call this getting bang for your buck. People don't want to wait so long until they get the satisfaction of beating a game. And it can be tedious turning on the same game over and over and over again until they finally beat it. Number 2, long dialogue scenes. People tend to get bored by long talking scenes. I personally love them, but a lot of people don't. Not being able to fight monsters and instead having to listen to a lecture on what to do and what's happening, and being completely lost when you aren't locked in on everything the other character's saying. And number 3, competitive combat. Now, a lot of people are bored by doing turn-based battles and just using the strongest attack again and again. Not only that, constant random encounters, and especially the older games. So when recommending an RPG to a new timer, we want to avoid the things that scare them while keeping the things that make the genre amazing. Masterpiece stories that stay with you forever, pumping OSTs, deep combat, and so much more. So I'd say these are some good guidelines to start with when searching for something to recommend a newcomer. Let's start this search with the old goodies. Now we can all agree, Earthbound, Final Fantasy 6 and 7, and Chrono Trigger are good games that everyone should experience, even non-gamers. Would I recommend them to your average Call of Duty and FIFA gamer who has never played an RPG before and trying to be onboarded to the genre? Probably not as your first. Game design sensibilities has moved light years since these games. So maybe you or the person you're trying to recommend this to might be turned away. Well, I know a lot of modern games have been influenced by the titles I just described, some of them not even RPGs. The newest apples have fallen pretty far from the original tree. We're talking the gap between Earth and the edge of the universe. But if there were one to save from the retro pile that I'd recommend to your 2025 gamer, it would be Earthbound. First off, it clocks in at under 30 hours, which is short, especially relative to other members of the genre. Second off, its dialogue isn't too excessive, as it's meant to be simpler and for younger kids, which also makes it good for beginners in general. And lastly, the game isn't super repetitive. It's not an unga bunga slot fest where you mash your way through. It's unique all the way throughout. However, there are some downsides here that don't have anything to do with the game itself. To play it on modern platforms, you do need the extremely sloppy, to put it nicely, Nintendo Switch Online system. So, because of the kind of dodgy measures you have to do to get it, and its age, our search is far from over. Let's take a search to newer titles. As I'm recording and editing this, a new Pokemon game has kinda just come out, but it's more action-based than usual. So let's look towards other recent Pokemon titles to find out if there's anything worth checking out as your first RPG. To anyone even passively aware of the genre, this might be the first game franchise you came up with when you thought of beginner RPG. Because Pokemon is simultaneously made for 5-year-olds who are playing their first video game, disaffected 23-year-olds, and 70-year-olds who couldn't tell a Pac-Man world from a Suikoden. They'd probably think it was something in the medicine cabinet. But back to Pokemon, though. It's pretty simple and clean for industry standards, if I were to say. For example of Pokemon's beginner friendliness, let's talk about their iconic element system, types. It's an extremely intuitive system, and just by type names alone, you can tell what beats what. Even outside of the main iconic three of fire, water, and grass, they're really obvious. Rock beats flying, steel beats ice, ghost beats psychic. And as for what type of Pokemon is, it's super easy to just guess by looking at it. It's a muscular dude with 4 arms and a champion's belt. That's a fighting type. Dude bending spoons while floating. Yep, that's a psychic type. Dude that's a poisonous flower. Yeah, I'm guessing grass poison type. All of that on top of the fact that the games themselves are super easy, and the story is also simple to follow, means it's a perfect beginner franchise. As for the specific game to choose, our selection will have to be from the Nintendo Switch line of games, as it is the newest and most available console. If I had to choose one from the Switch lineup, it would be Scarlet and Violet. It's a pretty good Pokemon game, especially after the patches. Even though there are Pokemon games that are leagues better, this one is still good and a great entry into the franchise. Although the price of admission is a pretty high wall of cutscenes in the beginning, I still give this a good recommendation. But let's talk about newer titles. But I still give this a good recommendation. But let's talk about other newer titles before the video is over. But if you're enjoying this video, make sure to like and subscribe, as it only takes a second. If you like RPGs or Persona or video essays or anything like that, this channel is perfect for you. And again, like and subscribe. Also, check out my Twitter. I post about whatever I'm thinking about at the current moment, as well as how editing's going. So if you want to see the creative process and see the random thoughts on my mind, go there as well. As for new additions to the party, let's briefly touch on Expedition 33 and Metaphor Re Fantasio. As for Expedition 33, I haven't gotten to it myself personally, but it's popular and I heard it's like a masterpiece or something. If you know a gamer who only plays whatever the newest thing on the market is, tell them to give it a shot as they're beginning. It won't kill them. Geek will though. Now that we've covered Expedition 33, let's talk about Metaphor Refantasio, which is a sentence that I've wanted to say for so long. It's one of Atlus's best offerings, and I absolutely loved it. It blew every other game, let alone RPG, out of the water in 2024 with its absolutely amazing gameplay, powerful OST, and amazing story. It became an instant classic and recognized as one of the best in its genre, earning a 94 on Metacritic, which is only a few points away from Ocarina of Time. And it got nominated at the 2024 Game Awards. Doing all this while selling over 1 million copies in a week. The critics, the fans, and the quality of the experience itself shows that this is an absolute masterpiece. But here's where I need to remind you what you need to do to qualify for a good beginner RPG. See, the job requirements aren't just being an amazing game. Well, Metaphor is absolute RPG cinema, don't get me wrong. It's around 70 hours, prone to the long dialogue scene as a slow opener. So if you choose this as your first, you're gonna have an amazing time, but just realize you're gonna experience a few rough bumps. So with that said, I have 2 big recommendations to leave the video with. Over the course of these next 2 segments, I'll try and pitch these next 2 games. So let's get into the first one. Hit it! Paper Mario, the 1,000-Year Door, or Paper Mario 2 for short. It is amazing and deserves all the love it gets. It's really simple to understand, both in story and in gameplay. As for the story and lore, it's Mario! If you know how the Mario world works, which if you've played video games or even heard about them, you do, you know how the Paper Mario 2 world works. I understood the hierarchy of the Mushroom Kingdom before I understood long division. Goombas are at the bottom of the hierarchy. Koopas take slightly more effort to defeat, but are mostly just goons. Toads are civilians that occasionally help you through power-ups and guest appearances. And stars are valuable and give you a lot of power. The gameplay is quite simplistic and is mainly based around timing your button commands to get extra damage. You'll be doing this a lot, but man, it's super fun to pull off every single time. Plus, there's a system known as the badge system, where you get to equip extra abilities, skills, and stat bonuses to make Mario even more powerful. But he's not alone, as he has a bunch of colorful companions with their own unique gimmicks, skills, and personalities to set them apart, such as the informative Goombella, who's your hype man and informs you about the enemies you fight along your journey, the bubbly AoE specialist mage, Vivian, and the destructive, inserious Admiral Bobbery, and so much more. As for the premise, there's a 1,000-Year Door, thus the subtitle, underneath the town of Rogueport. To open it, you need to collect 7 stars and put them in the door. To retrieve these stars, you must go around various locations and do some really cool adventures, such as going through a Halloween town and fighting ghosts, going on a swashbuckling pirate adventure, or an intense battle tournament. The best word I could use to describe the journey of Paper Mario 2 is fun. Plain, simple fun. It doesn't take itself too seriously and doesn't bear down on you with a bunch of lore dumps. And it's a relatively short game, lasting you around 31 hours, so it doesn't even have to worry about overstaying its welcome. If you're normally scared by RPGs, this is one of the best shots you'll have at getting started with the genre. I'll be extra charitable and throw you another entry point if you don't own a Nintendo Switch or GameCube, as the next one is available on all modern platforms. So, on to the next one. Omori. How do I even describe it? Well, we gotta start somehow, so let's begin with this. It is about the divide between dream and reality, and their influence on each other. The story follows a man named Sunny that has become an extreme recluse, also known as a Hikikomori. That's where they got the name of the game from. He constantly lives in his own dreams, and most of the gameplay follows his adventures through his dreams. In his dreams, he becomes Omori, the character we play as for most of the runtime. The plotline that runs through his dreams and what sets up the semi-episodic adventures through his dreams is the kidnapping of his friend and flower enthusiast Basil. After finding a mysterious photograph, he fell through a hole in reality, and now you and your team are on a mad dash to find and rescue Basil. Your adventuring party to accomplish this task is made up of the following characters. Aubrey, the loud and impulsive one who always has something important to say, especially about our next party member, that next party member being Kel. Sure, he's as big of a personality as Aubrey, but takes himself and the journey much less seriously. And our last member is Hero, Kel's brother and healer of the team. He's the team's bigger brother, keeping them in line with his wit and charm. However, a character who isn't a party member but is very important to mention is Mari, Omori's sister. She is stationed at several picnic spots throughout the map and is here to guide you on your journey and heal your wounds. The combat is easy to pick up and understand. The main gimmick of Omori's combat system is the emotions mechanic. Outside of neutral, there are 3 states for your party members to be in: happy, angry, and sad. They work in some form of elemental triangle where happy beats angry beats sad, and sad beats happy. These conditions also have effects. Happy boosts your luck and speed while lowering your hit rate, angry boosts your attack while lowering your defense, and sadness boosts your defense while lowering your attack. It's easy to understand and very fun to play with, especially if you are new to RPGs and aren't ready for the more complex titles. Again, Omori's combat is really simple. Like it doesn't even have like an elemental system. And all of it is wrapped up in a bow of being 21 hours, which is, again, ultra short compared to other games like it, as mentioned near the start of the video. The exploration is nice as we get to see a whole load of diverse environments with a lot of neat things to find. It's all very imaginative. Like, for example, you find a ladder that leads to the moon where you fight oranges and old desktop computers, and it's an absolute vibe you need to experience. However, here's where the catch comes in. The good vibes don't continue during the real-world segments that take place outside of the dream. See, Sunny only has a few days left in his hometown before he has to move, and he needs to get his affairs in order beforehand. Not only that, but remember his sister Mari that I was telling you about a moment ago? Well, in the real world, she's died. In the real world equivalents of your adventuring party, reel from the grief of her passing each day, with her death having a major effect on all of their lives. As you get to see the outside world, you run into things that influenced the dream world and watch it bend to reflect the new experiences in the real world. As you adventure through both the real world and the dream world, you get to discover more about Sunny's friends, how they drifted apart, and details about Mari's death. I'll leave the experience up to you, but Amori is a truly brutal balance between dream and reality, and it is a perfect experience for beginners, or any player in general. I hope these were some good recommendations, and for all my fellow RPG fans in the audience, I hope you have some amazing recommendations to show a friend that might not be an RPG fan. Now, what I'm gonna say is very shameless, sure, but if you know a non-RPG fan, ask them to watch this and see if any of the games I recommended looked cool to them. Even if you play these and still don't vibe with the genre, that's okay. I hope you liked the video, and I hope you like and subscribe. Now, keep putting the based in turn-based, and have a super day. Bye!
Have you been searching all alone, confessing while alone and on, without a clue, without a sign, without grasping it, the real question to be asked.